So let us pay respect first. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sama sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sama sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sama sambuddhassa. Good evening, everyone. And you can see that we have a very different background tonight. And we are doing the streaming in the new meditation hall, from the new meditation hall. Okay, that's why the background is actually the Buddha, where you can see on the other Po Lam upper hall, you can see that the picture of the whole Buddha there. So this is the first time we are streaming off from the new Dharma hall because we just received our first very important occupancy permit on Friday. So we are allowed to use the buildings, but it's not completed yet. So we still have to wait for the roads and the parking lot to be completed before we can get the final occupancy permit. But we are so happy that we are able to use the Dhamma hall. So, okay, so nice to actually start the new year with studying the teachings of the Buddha. And we are continuing to explore this little book. This is actually a little bit bigger than a lot of, handheld little paperback Dhammapada. So who have not been here before, we are actually exploring the Dhammapada. And tonight is the 6th session of exploring the Dhammapada in different themes. Next one, please. So there are different themes, and as some of you, if you still haven't got hold of this book, you can get a hard copy through online, or through online free PDF, or you can actually easily order a copy from Amazon, from Pariyatti. So, and the version that I'm using is by Acharya Buddharakkhita, and so this is the version that I'm using. So you can see that there are different themes that we have been using to explore the Dhammapada. And the first 5 we have studied already, and that includes human life is rare and precious, self-discipline, cause and effect, happiness, good friends. So if you haven't actually attended any of these, you can go back to listen to them through the YouTube Po Lam channel. You can go and watch those again. So tonight we're going to talk about self-reliance. And then there will be, the next one will be follow the Dhamma. But before we go on looking at self-reliance, tonight we go back to do a little bit reflections that on the last topic that we touched on is about friends, good friends. So the points for reflections last time or last month do you have some good friends in your life? Because we talk about good friends, right? And any common good qualities among these good friends. So obviously, I expect you have more than one good friend. That's why I said common qualities in good friends. And how have these good friends influenced you, or how have the encountership or the relationship from these between you and these good friends actually have influenced you or have changed you? And what would you say to them in a few words? Or with a few words, what would you say to these good friends? So today is the first time of the new year in sharing. And I wish, all of you, most of you, would be generous enough to share your views on this topic. So the floor is open to you now. Just wave your hand or put up your hand. If you haven't, listened to the last lecture, it's okay. It's okay. You don't have to really say anything related to that lecture, but related to these 4 questions or whatever that you think of about good friends. Generosity is a wonderful quality, to develop. And this is a chance for you to show your generosity. Okay, Nora.
Yes, I have many good friends and my family as well. But also the Sangha, right?
Yeah.
And you, Sister Jessie. I mean, I feel that you set such a good example, and it's really affected my life, I would say, and going to the prisons and just all that you do, and every week you sort of remind me. You forget, you go off and do things, and then you come back, and then you listen, and you go, oh yes, right, back on the right path. And so
Great.
I say thank you very much.
Great. Good. I wasn't haunting you. I'm reminding you. Thank you, Nora. That's great. Yeah. Good. So, anybody else? Anybody else?
Yes, I am on Larry's iPad here. My name is Evelyn.
Oh,
This is
Evelyn,
my
yes.
first-
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. This is my first Po Lam meeting on Zoom, and I'm absolutely enjoying it thoroughly. I am retired, and I have many good friends that I have met just in my retirement life, which I never expected to meet. Not many good friends at this stage of my life. And I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I think it's just a wonderful way to start the new year. And I thank you, Sister Jessie. I know a very good friend of yours.
Oh.
I won't mention her name, but I know a very good friend of yours.
I see.
Who has actually started. Yes. So I just wanted to say what a wonderful way. Thank you.
Thank you, Evelyn. Yeah. I'm glad to see you tonight.
I actually live in Chilliwack, so
Oh, that's good.
I can hardly wait till you open your classes in person.
Hey, possibly in February, where everybody can come and join.
Oh, I will just, and you know what? My birthday is on your Chinese New Year this year.
Oh, wow, great.
Yes. And it's also, I am the year of the rabbit.
Oh, wow, double great.
Yes. So it's quite something. So I'm
Yeah.
going to celebrate.
Wow.
I'm not sure how, but I am going to celebrate in some kind of way different this year.
Come here to celebrate with us.
Well, maybe I will.
Yeah. Great, thank you, Evelyn. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. Anybody else? Okay, all right. then, okay. So if you do not have anything else to share, then it's my turn, okay? Don't regret, okay, Phong King. Phong King, okay. There you go.
Yes, just a few words. I have to say to my good friends, I'm very grateful and thankful for that because including some of my old friends and some new friends in the last 10 years, I find that they have a common quality that is total acceptance of me.
Yes, that's
So
very important, yeah.
I'm very grateful
Yes.
to all my old and new friends.
Good,
It's,
yeah.
My luck, my good luck.
Yeah.
Just this to share.
Great, thank you.
Total acceptance.
Yeah.
Is,
Otherwise, you cannot be good friends, right? Otherwise, you cannot be good friends if they don't accept you, right? Yeah, definitely. That's a very,
I don't take it for granted.
yeah.
I don't take it for granted because
That's good.
I know, it's not,
Yeah.
it's not a must.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Take your longs and shorts.
Yeah, right. Good. Thank you, Phong King. Thank you, Phong King from Hong Kong. Yeah, great. Good. Nice. Yeah. Total acceptance. I think that's a very important basis for friendship, isn't it? Acceptance. Yes, Laurie.
I was just remembering what you really stressed last time. It was the trust and mutual respect.
Mutual respect, yeah. And the trust, yes.
When I was thinking about the common qualities that I have with my friends, I so trust them.
You trust them, yeah.
And I respect them so highly. And they're all very different.
Of course, yeah. So Laurie said that common qualities is trust and respect. Friends totally trust her, and she respects all the differences between each one of them. Yeah, trust, respect, and acceptance. Wonderful qualities, yeah. Yes, Eva, yes. You don't have a mic for the floor tonight, hey?
I think it picks it up.
Oh, that's good.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I think the quality that I really appreciate is in some very, very good friends is that they remember my highest aspirations when I don't.
That's good, yeah. They remember your highest aspirations when you don't remember, and they remind you. Yeah. What will you say to them?
Thank you for being with me for so long.
Or bear with you for so long. Yeah, wonderful, yeah. Good. So yeah, those are our good friends. And I want to conclude these reflections with a wonderful verse from the Dhammapada, which is different. I do it differently tonight. I want to conclude that reflections. That is the verse 330. So 330, it says, "Better it is to live alone. There is no fellowship with a fool. Live alone and do no evil. Be carefree like an elephant in the elephant forest." It sounds strange. Is it really talking about good friends? It is talking about good friends, if you know the background story. And this is the story about the Buddha's good friend, and it's an elephant. The elephant with the name of Paliliyaka. And how come the Buddha actually regarded this great elephant as a good friend? Because once, during the summer retreat, the Vasa, the rain retreat, the Buddha was quite upset with the Sangha, with the Bhikkhu Sangha. And so he decided to leave the Bhikkhu Sangha to go into the forest. And in the forest, this elephant served the Buddha. So after the Vasa was over, the rain retreat was over, the bhikkhus actually were very remorseful. So they went to actually pay respect to the Buddha and seek penitence from the Buddha of their misbehaviors. And then they said, Buddha, we are so sorry that you have been staying in the forest alone. It must be very difficult for you to be living alone with nobody serving you. And the Buddha said, I wasn't alone. I wasn't alone. I have a very good friend there, a very true friend. And if one has such a good friend, one should stick to him. And that is the elephant that I had. Elephant Paliliyaka. He served me during this whole Vasa, the whole rain retreat. And he was a dear and true good friend to me. So the elephant, you see, Goldie, the doggy, can be your good friend too, our doggy. Your cats could be your good friend. Your birds could be your good friends. Okay, so that is, and the Buddha said, without such a good friend, it is actually better to stay alone. But you see, sometimes friendship develops over time, right? You started off not being good friends, but gradually become good friends, because understanding, acceptance, consideration, trust, respect, all those will be developed over time, right? So that's why I wanted to conclude that last session with this wonderful, beautiful verse 330. So now let's go on to self-reliance. So we all know what's the definition of reliance. Reliance means confidence, dependence, trust. And so self-reliance, that means we are responsible for our own lives. So who can we trust? Who can we confide in? Who can we rely on? And who can do the job? Who can do the job? And in Dhammapada, verse 239, it says, one by one, little by little, moment by moment, a wise man should remove his own impurities, as a smith removes the dross of silver. The most important, actually, phrase in here is like a smith removes the dross of silver. It's a metaphor. That means we are the only person who are able to remove all the impurities in ourselves, just like the silversmith able to remove all the impurities in the silver. And this verse was uttered by the Buddha when he was in the Jeta Grove monastery, the Jetavana monastery. And he actually uttered this verse in relationship to a Brahmin. A Brahmin saw a group of bhikkhus rearranging their robes as they were preparing to enter the city for alms. And while this Brahmin was looking at this group of bhikkhus, he saw that the bhikkhus, while rearranging their robes, the robe touched the ground and got wet. So he cleared that patch of ground for the bhikkhu to rearrange the robes, so it's dry ground. And then the next day he saw another group of bhikkhus going for alms, and the robes touched the bare ground. the ropes got very dirty. So he covered the patch of ground with sand, so when the bhikkhus walk by, the ropes won't get wet and dirty. Then again, next day, he observed another group of bhikkhus when the sun was really shining. They were all sweating, and then the sweat just penetrated through the ropes, as if it was raining. So finally, he built a rest house, a monastery, a place for the bhikkhus to rest when they go out for alms, so they can gather before entering the city for alms. So when the building was finished, he invited the Buddha and the bhikkhus for alms food. And the Brahmin actually explained to the Buddha how he had performed all these actions. And to him, the Buddha replied, and the Buddha uttered this verse. So you can see the wise man should remove his own impurities as the smith removes the impurities of silver. Just like this man, this Brahmin, removed the impurities on the land for the sake of the bhikkhus. When they rearrange the ropes won't get dirty, won't get wet, and build a rest house. So he is actually removing his own impurities by doing all these. The first thing is generosity, respect, isn't it? And so this is who is the most important person who can do this, who can remove these impurities? Nobody else but ourselves. So when we go on to look, then who is the most important protector, who can actually protect us, or who can provide a shield for us for our lives or for our practice. So we can, especially at difficult times, we always ask, who can we trust to protect ourselves? And some of us will depend on our parents, depend on our siblings, to depend on our friends, to depend on the external world to protect us. Or some of us will say, oh, I'll pray to the Buddha, I'll pray to the Bodhisattva, I'll offer, and then hopefully they will protect us. But who are the true protectors, who we can rely on, and who we can trust, and who we can confide in? So verse 160, it says, one is truly one's protector. Who else could the protector be? With oneself fully controlled, one gains a protector, which is hard to gain. So you can see this protector has to have some very special qualities, and those qualities are fully controlled of oneself. This control doesn't mean suppression or oppression. This control means restrained oneself in unwholesome acts. But the wholesome acts we try to expand and strengthen. So the Buddha actually uttered this verse when he was also in the Jeta Grove Monastery. So we all know that actually the Buddha spent a lot of time in Jeta Grove Monastery. And this is quite a long story. And it is related to the mother of Kumarakasapa. You know Pali's name or Sanskrit name is too long. So Kuma, or Mahakassapa, or Rakasapa. Okay, so this there was this young man marry a woman, and this young woman who was married asked to become a bhikkhuni, asked the permission from her husband to become bhikkhuni. But she did not go and join the bhikkhuni sangha of the Buddha. Instead, she went to join the bhikkhuni sangha of Devadatta, which was quite a big mistake, right? But she didn't know. Then she joined that bhikkhuni sangha. But after she took the bhikkhuni precepts and became a nun, she found out that she was pregnant. She was pregnant. So Devadatta expelled her from the monastic sangha. Because in the monastic sangha, imagine a nun being pregnant, right? So people would have a lot of bad words to comment, to talk about the sangha. So she was expelled, and then of course the bhikkhuni sangha of Devadatta was really blaming her, and she said, Originally I wasn't intended to join this sangha. I intended to join the Buddha sangha, but I don't know how I ended up here. But anyway, she actually went to see the Buddha. And the Buddha, seeing a bhikkhuni being pregnant, he did not do anything, but he asked the king to come. King Pasenadi, you know that he was a very devoted disciple of the Buddha. And then the Buddha also asked Anathapindika, who was a very devoted male disciple of the Buddha. And the Buddha also asked Visakha, who was a very devoted female disciple of the Buddha, householder. And he also asked the bhikkhu Upali, who was good in precepts, to come to actually what word should I use to justify this situation. So the Buddha told them about this woman, and the Buddha said, "You will all judge this situation. You will all make a decision and come back to me." So Visakha, who was a woman, so took the woman, the bhikkhuni, to the back room and checked her. And then found out that her pregnancy was way before she became a nun. She didn't know. So Visakha reported to these other three men, told these other three people, the king, Anathapindika, and Thera Upali. So, and said that she did not get pregnant while she was a bhikkhuni. It was before that she was a bhikkhuni. So they reported to the Buddha, and Buddha said, okay, then you can stay in this order, in this monastic, bhikkhuni monastic. When the boy was born, the king adopted the boy. And then when the boy became 7 years old, he knew that his mom was a bhikkhuni, so he wanted to become a monk. So he became a young novice monk. Being so young, and being so young into the order, he actually practiced very, very diligently. So when he was older, and he became a fully ordained monk, and the Buddha gave him a meditation object, and he actually meditating on that, and he attained arahantship in very short time. And he stayed in the forest for more than 12 years. And in these 12 years, the mother, who was a bhikkhuni, was trying to look for him, trying to see him. And then eventually she found him. But yet, he knew that if he became very sentimental, if he allowed her mom to attach to him, that would be an obstacle for her to be enlightened. So he said very harsh words to her. He said, "How is it you, being a member of a bhikkhuni order, could not even cut off this affection for a son?" But that was very harsh. And once, twice, and 3 times, he said that to her. And she was very upset. She said, "How could my son say such harsh words to me, asking me to cut off all the affection for him?" Then she got very angry. Then in her mind she said, "Okay, for 12 years I've been looking for him. I've been shedding tears for this boy of mine, yet he has spoken so harshly for me. So what is the use for the affection for him? So I will cut all the affection off for my son." And she did. And she did. And then when that happened, she actually attained enlightenment. She attained the arahantship. So, one day at the congregation of the bhikkhus, and some bhikkhus said to the Buddha, "Dear teacher, if the mother of Kumara Kassapa had listened to Devadatta, she as well as her son would not have become arahants, right? Surely Devadatta would do such harm, would be an obstacle. But Buddha, you have been a refuge to them." And the Buddha said, "Yes, bhikkhus, I am trying to reach the world of the Deva, or in trying to attain arahantship. You cannot depend on anybody else but yourself. You must work hard on your own, self-dependent. You have to be self-dependent. That means you have to fully control yourself. And how can you fully control yourself? You have to depend on this mind, on this ethics, on understanding why we need to abide by ethics, on understanding on why we need to cut off sensual pleasures, why we need to restrain ourselves from sensual pleasures. And all these, then one will be able to make oneself a strong protector for oneself. So you have to rely on yourself, okay? So, and then the verse 380, it says, one is fully one's own protector. One is truly one's own refuge. Therefore, one should control oneself even as a trader controls a noble steed. That means a trainer, a horse trainer, in order to train the horse well, one trainer, the trainer should, did I type the word wrong? 380. Is it a trader or a trainer? Trader. Trainer? Trader. Yeah, trader. Okay, so that means we ourselves has to be our own protector and own refuge. Then you would ask, Sifu, but we take refuge in the Buddha, in the Dhamma, and in the Sangha. We don't take refuge in ourselves. You do take refuge in yourself. You take refuge in the Buddha nature, your own Buddha nature. You take refuge in the Dhamma, your body, your physical body, your mental existence. Every second, every minute, they display the Dhamma to you, the truth of existence to you. And you do have a Sangha jewel in you. Sangha is a person who actually aspire to walk on this path and aspire to be liberated from sufferings. So we all have these innate qualities, but they are masked by all those greed, ill will, animosity, anger, ignorance, delusions, illusions, doubts, all those. But when those are all being cleansed and purified and washed away, all these impurities being washed away, and you will allow these qualities will naturally reveal themselves. So this refuge is not refuge in the ordinary defiant mind, but in the area qualities, the noble qualities of Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha. Okay? So how do we develop this self-reliance? How to develop this self-reliance? So verse 25, it says, by effort and heedfulness, discipline and self-mastery, let the wise one make for himself an island which no flood can overwhelm. And you can see how we can actually develop this self-reliance is by effort and heedfulness. Effort is not ordinary effort. It's the right kind of effort that is being taught in the Eightfold Noble Path. And heedfulness is not just ordinary heedfulness. It's heedfulness with the right kind of understanding, the right kind of views. And discipline and self-mastery, we all know discipline. And self-mastery in what? Self-mastery in what? Answers. Precepts, good. Like discipline in your precepts. Mastering over your own mind in abiding by the wholesome actions, wholesome precepts. Okay? So, and let the wise one make for himself an island which no flood can overwhelm. The Buddha uttered this verse in a different monastery, Velovana monastery, which is related to with a grandson of a banker. His name is Chula. So the banker has two sons, grandsons. One is called Mahapantaka, and the other is called Chula Pantaka. So I'll call them Maha and Chula. So Maha was the oldest one, and he used to actually accompany his grandfather to the monastery. So he is very fluent in all the discourses and everything. And later, Maha actually became a monk. And in no time, he became enlightened and became an arhat, because he was influenced, he was taught by the Buddha. And then Chula also became a bhikkhu. But because in previous life, Chula had made fun of a bhikkhu who was very dull, who was very lethargic. Then, after that life, Chula was reborn in a life with a lot of dullness, drowsiness. He couldn't even remember one verse in 4 months, let alone many discourses. Okay? So Maha was very disappointed with his brother, and he always reprimanded him, and he actually recommended his brother to disrobe and go back to the household life. But Chula refused. And so one day the Buddha was in his meditation. He saw that Chula had a lot of difficulties. So the Buddha took him along and made him sit in front of a grand hall. And the Buddha gave Chula a clean piece of cloth, very clean cloth, and asked Chula to rub this piece of cloth. But every time he rubs it, he should repeat one word. And that one word is Raja Haranan. Raja Haranan, which means taking on impurity. Raja Haranan. And so the Buddha said, Chula, you should rub the cloth. Every time you rub once, you would repeat Raja Haranan, Raja Haranan. So Chula actually remembered this, and he kept rubbing that piece of cloth and repeating Raja Haranan, Raja Haranan, Raja Haranan. When the Buddha went out, he kept rubbing, and then the clean piece of cloth became very soiled because his hands was sweating, and imagine, you keep rubbing that cloth will get soiled, right? And seeing this change in the condition of the cloth, Chula came to realize the impermanent nature of all things. And from the house of where the Buddha was, the Buddha actually saw that Chula, the Buddha, of course, in his meditative state, he had this supernatural power. He saw the state of mind of Chula. And Buddha made himself to appear in front of Chula and shining with brightness over Chula, in front of him, and saying to Chula, it is not the piece of cloth alone that is made dirty by the dust. Within oneself also exists the dust of passion, raga, the dust of ill will, dosa, the dust of ignorance, moha, that is the ignorance of Four Noble Truths, because you were ignorant of the Four Noble Truths. Chula, the Buddha said, only by removing this could one achieve one's goal and attain arahantship. Chula heard the message from the Buddha, and he kept on meditating. He kept on reflecting and contemplating. And in a very short while, he attained this arahantship. And with very strong analytical power. And so he stopped. His drowsiness, his dullness completely left him. And where the Buddha was, at the house of Javaka, because Buddha were going for alms. And they were ready to pour water for the Buddha and everybody to wash hands before receiving alms, eating. The Buddha covered his bowl with his hand. He said, is everybody on the list here? And they said, yes, everybody is here to receive alms, ready to receive alms. Buddha said, no, you are missing one. They said, no, everybody is here. Buddha said, no, you're missing one. Then they said, oh, really? The Buddha said, go back to the temple, go back to the monastery. There should be another bhikkhu there. Chula was there, right? So the attendant went, and then the attendant said, anybody here? Then they saw 1,000 people there, sitting there, with the same face. I am Chula, I'm Chula, I'm Chula, I'm Chula. So the attendant said, so who is the real Chula? I'm Chula, I'm Chula. 1,000 Chula said that they are Chula. He is Chula. And the attendant was so scared. Went back to the monastery, said, there were 1,000 Chulas there. The Buddha said, no, no, no. There should be only one Chula. Go back. He went back the second time. He said, who's Chula? Chula come to receive alms. I'm Chula, I'm Chula, I'm Chula, I'm Chula. And the attendant said, so who's the real Chula? I'm Chula, I'm Chula. So he went back to the monastery again and told the Buddha and the Sangha. Then the Buddha said, when you go again this time, look for the one who spoke first, who speak first. I am Chula. That is Chula. Then the attendant went again and said, who is Chula? So he watched, and I'm Chula. He said, oh, yes, you. Then the other 999 disappeared. The real Chula appeared. So the attendant said, Venerable Bhikkhu, you are invited to go for alms at the house, at the Jivaka house. So Chula followed and went there. And after receiving the alms, the Buddha asked Chula to give a discourse. And Chula gave a wonderful, inspiring discourse to all the Bhikkhu Sangha, with the Buddha presiding over it. And this is where actually the Buddha uttered this verse after Chula gave the discourse. He said, by effort and heedfulness, discipline and self-mastery, the wise one will make for himself an island which no flood can overwhelm. This is a beautiful story. Self-reliance. And then verse 276, it says, you yourselves must strive. The Tathagatas, that means the Buddhas, only point the way. Those meditative ones who tread the path are released from the bonds of Mara. So, you know, Mara are people, are situations, are things, are thoughts that hinder us from liberation. So Mara is not one entity. Mara could be anything. And the biggest Mara is who? From where? From here. Yeah. The biggest and strongest Mara is here. Our own mind is the biggest and strongest Mara. So remember, Mara is not just external. It could be external, but it's the really external is the object. But the real Mara is our own mind. And here it says, you yourself must strive. Must strive what? To overcome the Mara. To overcome, to cut the bonds of Mara. The Tathagatas, all the Buddhas, their teachings only point the way, like me pointing to the moon. Oh, the moon is very bright. Don't look at my fingers. Look at the moon. Look at the teachings. The Buddhas only give us the teachings, but we need to understand, practice, experience the teaching. Not just theoretical, but really experience, practice and experience the teachings. That's why it says those meditative ones, the one who practice, who tread the path. To tread the path, what path? The Eightfold Noble Path, the path towards liberation, a release from the bonds of Mara. So you know, we need to depend on the teachings to make ourselves a better person, a person who will continue to walk on this noble path, following the teachings of all the Buddhas. Okay? So, a self-reliant person is like this. I love this picture. Despite all the difficult situations, it will still grow, flourish. And the more difficult the situations, the stronger will you be if you overcome all the obstacles. But you have to depend on yourself to build up that strength. And it says in here, is verse 326, it says, formerly this mind wandered about as it liked, where it wished. It just wandered. I like to go there. I like to get this. I like to eat this. I like to be friend with this. I don't like to be friend with this. Where it wished, according to its pleasure. Look at this. This is important. According to its pleasure. So pleasant situation. I like this friend because they are nice to me. They say things which are easy for my ears, which are pleasant to my ears. Those advices are unpleasant. I don't like this. Those are not my good friends. To its pleasure. But now I will thoroughly master it with wisdom. As a Mahout, you know what is Mahout? A trainer for elephants. Elephant tamer. Mahout controls an elephant in rut. That means an elephant trainer who is very, very good in training wild elephants. So you see, we are wild elephants. I always say that we are wild monkeys or even gorillas. And it's not just one wild monkey. It's many wild monkeys. Thousands of wild monkeys in our head, in our mind. And we need to be very patient, training them one after another, taming them one after another. Don't follow them. Don't follow them according to their pleasure, which we always do, right? always do. And don't be satisfied with yourself if you actually have killed one monkey. There are still many in there. Okay? Yeah, so keep killing those monkeys. Not like this, but taming. Killing those monkeys, converting them into wise monkeys, into wise and tame monkeys. And like controlling a wild elephant, training them to be a tame elephant. Okay? So that means we have to rely and trusting wisdom in guarding this mind, which used to wander, like the elephant, wild elephant, you know. And so when we are trained, when we develop in this self-reliance, we will become excellent. We will excel. And the Buddha said, there are excellent among the excellents. Those are the ones who actually excel in developing reliance, in self-reliance. And in verse 322 it says, excellent are well-trained mules, thoroughbred Sindhu horses, and noble tusker elephants. But better still is one who has subdued himself. When one is able to subdue oneself, one excels. One is the excellent among the excellents. And this verse is very simple, very easy to understand, on subduing oneself, right? If you would like to read the story about this, it's actually about, or hear about this story, is about this man who wanted the Buddha to marry his daughter. And the Buddha said, no, I can't and I won't, because it's not a wise man supposed to do. And the Buddha said, I don't even touch a woman, let alone marrying a woman. But this woman later became one of the queens, because he married the king Udana. So when this woman, her name is Magganitya. So Magga, he heard that the Buddha has come to the city. She hired people to actually abuse the Buddha, saying bad words and very abusive. And Ananda was by the Buddha's side, and Ananda heard all these abusive words, and it hurt Ananda a lot. And Ananda said to the Buddha, Buddha, let us leave this city. Let us go away from here. These abusive words really are very unpleasant to the ears, and they shouldn't do this. And the Buddha said, no, we don't need to leave. We don't need to leave. Because why? Because this is the place where the problem arises, and this is the place where we can solve the problem. That means this is your weakness, and the weakness, you can actually transform the weakness to the strength. So you cannot just run away. You cannot avoid it. And so the Buddha said, I am like an elephant in a battlefield. Like an elephant who can withstand the arrows that come from all directions. I will also bear patiently all the abuses that come from all directions without any negativity, because these people, they do not have any moral standards. But we do have moral standards. So he said, I'm strong, and I need to solve the problem here. So that is how a noble person acts. That is how a noble person behaves. And that is how a noble person display as a role model to us. Don't run away from the problem. Don't run away from your weakness. Face them, change them, transform them. It's very difficult. Sometimes it's very hurtful, very painful. But when you are able to transform them, it's very fulfilling. The fulfillment is not anything that can be brought by sensual pleasures, materials fulfillment. The happiness, the joy, the wisdom that you get from there is enormous. So don't run away from your weakness. Face them. But face them with wisdom. Remember, face them with wisdom. Okay? And in verse 323 it says also, not by these mounts, however, can one go to the untrodden land, that means Nibbana, as one who is self-tamed goes by his own tamed and well-controlled mind. So this is easily understood. So when we are able to control ourselves, to tame ourselves, the mind, we will be able to eventually go to Nibbana. That means totally liberated from our defilements, afflictions, and entanglements. So what are the future outcomes for a person or for people who are developed in self-reliance? Verse 236, it says, make an island for yourself, strive hard and become wise, rid of impurities and cleanse of stain. You see, these three sentences actually are practices. How advises on how to practice. And what is the end result of this practice? You shall enter the celestial abode of the noble ones. That means you will be reborn in the Deva's world, heavenly realms. So that means make a firm support for yourself. Strive hard, work hard, and develop that wisdom. Having removed all these impurities and being free from moral defilements, you will definitely enter the abodes of Aryas, heavenly beings. And 236 all the way to 238 actually have the same story. And 238, I skipped 237 and 237. Now we look at 238. It says, make an island for yourself. Strive hard and become wise. Rid of impurities and cleanse of stain. You shall not come again to birth and decay. That's the outcome of having developed self-reliance. You will not be what? Going into this cyclic existence of samsara. Cycles of repeated birth and death, birth and death. And because why? You will say, oh, that's okay. This lifetime, I have quite a good human life. I don't mind, coming back as a human being next lifetime. Are you sure that you'll be reborn as a human being next lifetime? Are you sure? Can you be certain? No. 10% certainty, 20% certainty, or 100% certainty? We don't know. We really don't know. 0%, 松慧说. 松慧said, 0%. of certainty. Yeah, we don't know unless you're really very deep in your meditation and you can see your future life. And even though that could not be so certain, I think, but certain, very certain is now we have this human life. This is 100% certain. And this is the greatest opportunity that we have right now, right here, that we can actually make full use to develop and to cultivate those wonderful qualities that are necessary for us to be reborn in celestial abode, or at least to be reborn as a human being, right? And you shall not come again in birth and decay. I think that will still take some time. But that could be possible, right? So, yeah, so this is my 2 cents for self-reliance from Dhammapada. So if you go through Dhammapada and you pick up some verses that you think that are related to self-reliance, let me know. Of course, there are many more verses that could be related to self-reliance. Just let me know. We can actually put them in. But because of time, I just put down that many verses in here. So anybody has any comments about or sharing about tonight? Self-reliance. Yes, Laurie.
I'm always thinking about self-reliance because there are times when I feel like I rely very heavily on my friends, I rely very heavily on the Sangha, I rely very heavily just on the mind. And I think, okay, is this wisdom or is it wise for me to be so reliant? And should I be more self-reliant? So those kinds of things were
So after hearing this, what do you feel?
well, I think it's both.
A balance. Yeah, right, yeah. So Laurie said, I don't know whether you heard Laurie. No, okay. Laurie said there is a thought that arises on her mind constantly, is that she relies on her good friends, she relies on the Dharma, she relies on the Sangha, she relies on Po Lam, and this thought is constantly, in her mind. So, oh, maybe should I be relying so much on the good friends, on Po Lam, or should I rely more on myself? And so this thought constantly, coming into her mind. So I asked her, what do you think after tonight? And she said, a balance. A balance. Of course, we need to support each other. And by having this support, can you still hear me? Okay. By having this support, the Sangha, your good friends, that will strengthen you, that will help you to even strive more energetic in striving forward to develop this self-reliance. Right? Agree? Yeah, good. Okay. Anybody else? Okay, Mata?
I was exchanging some messages with you the other day, and I think that the only thing we can really rely on is our Shila.
Yes, Ashila.
And well, it's for navigating the world.
Yes.
And it just a little phrase came up saying that the real 911 is our Shila. I mean, that's the only thing that can save us, and the only thing that can help us.
is Shila. Yeah. Yeah. So Mata is here, and she shared a very good point. He said, the strong reliance, a very strong reliance, the strongest reliance, 911, is Shila. Shila, that means morality. And she said, especially at difficult times, if we would remember to fall back onto the Shila and depend on the Shila to remind ourselves, to dial 911 Shila, 911 Shila. And that would help us. And so that's why it says here, rid of impurities, right? How can you get rid of impurities? By Shila. How can you restrain yourself? By Shila, right? So Shila. How do you master? What do you master? By Shila. Morality, right? Yeah. Good. Varsha. Taming the mind, yeah.
And I was thinking that the times that I'm not self-reliant is when I can't depend upon my mind, but that's when I use the Dharmic mind with Po Lam mind.
Yeah.
Because I know that if this one isn't working clearly,
Yeah.
it's not capable right now,
Yeah.
so I have to reach out
Yeah.
and
Varsha said that in her notes, she jotted down notes while listening to the lecture. She said she has actually written down almost 10 times, taming the mind. Yeah, she said that when the mind is not tamed, you really cannot depend on that mind. It's really not relying on that mind. So at that time, you have to rely on Po Lam, you have to rely on the Sangha, you have to rely on the Dhamma. And also, at that time, you wish that you will always remember to go and rely on the Dhamma, to go and rely on the Sangha, to go and rely on Po Lam. You wish that that crazy mind won't be so crazy that you forget to go and rely on the Dhamma, on your Dhamma friends, right? Yeah, great. Anybody else? Okay, all right then. I have a very serious reflections for you for next week, next month. You have to think about this, okay? There are 2 points. One is self-reliance contradictory to dependent origination? So dependent origination, that means the law of conditionality, right? And I always teach is we are not totally dispensable. We depend on a lot of things to survive. We depend on the farmer to grow the rice. We depend on you people to donate money, to donate rice to us. So we depend on you. We rely on donation. We rely on the farmer. We rely on people to harvest the rice. So that's the dependent origination. But here is talk about self-reliance. Is there a contradiction in that? You think about that. Don't just shake your head. You give me reasons. Okay? And then, do you consider yourself a self-reliant person? So some of you have actually share, but you could share a little bit more next month. So these are the two points that I wanted you to contemplate on. All right? All good? Good. Okay, then we dedicate our merits. May these blessings extend to all, that we with all the other living beings together will attain the Buddha way. May we share all our merits, all our benefits that we have gathered tonight with all beings. May all beings be happy and be peaceful. May we wish more and more people will encounter the wise words of the Buddha, study them, understand them, practice them, and help themselves to liberate from their own entanglements and be truly, ultimately free, happy, and peaceful.